Hey guys, welcome back and thanks for tuning in. If you're new here and you find this content useful, please consider liking and subscribing. I really appreciate it and it keeps me motivated to do this sort of thing. Today what I wanted to look at was vines like this one. You see, this is a layer that's been cut and it's on a pretty severe lean. So when they planted the layer, the vine hasn't been tied down and it's made the entire trunk lean to the left and pull it down. One possible way to avoid this is when you cut your layer, make sure that you tie these arms on first. Cable tie them, whatever means you'll use to attach it to the wire, just attach it to the wire first, make sure that the trunk's nice and straight, then bend your layer down. And that's a good way to avoid this lean occurring, because that'll become a permanent lean. It's very hard to correct it once it's attached to a layer. The layer will always be pulling it downhill if you decide to leave that trunk intact. And of course it'll grow more rigid as time goes on, and it'll become sort of permanently set to that left lean, even if you were to cut the layer arm off and correct it. So just keep that in mind when you're cutting a layer. Tie the arms on first and then bend the layer down. That will ensure that you'll have a straight trunk and everything will stay upright and correct and where it's meant to be. Straight trunk is better, more easy manageable. It keeps the cordons from overlapping, or reduces the chances of the cordons overlapping, because if you have a severe lean to one side, it's going to overlap with the cordon that's coming from the direction that it's leaning into. So here's what I'm going to select for a layer. There's a mist just here and there's a suitable cane right at the end here. I really like this cane. For a layer choice, it's pretty long. It's leaning in the right position already. That should be quite easy to bend over. Got good selection in the crown here, so what I'm going to do is lose my phone so I can use both hands, make my selection in the centre here, trim it down so that I've got that replacement cane to use as a layer, and then I'll show you what I meant by tying down the arms first and using the replacement layer. Okay, now I've finally got this vine cut back to where I've got my two canes. As you can see just here, 1 and 2, and I've got my layer cut, which is this guy, ready to be planted. But this vine is already starting to lean to the left. What I want to do is correct that, have the trunk upright, tie these two canes down first, and then I will plant this layer after that. So again, I will need both hands. So I'll put you on hold, tie these canes down, get it ready to plant. So now I have those two canes tied down. You can already see the correction. The vine trunk is really straight. The crown centered. It's not pushing towards the left anymore, so it's not going to overlap with the vine that will eventually be there from this layer. That one is also starting to lean to the left. That will be corrected also when it's tied down, as will all the vines that are on leans here. We're on a bit of a hill. It's quite a windy site. And I'm guessing maybe an experienced tie down crew has come through in the past and created the leans. Yeah, so we're going to plant this layer next. That's the next step, and that one will be straight, ready to go as well. Alright, so this one's been laid down. Now my layer arm has come down all the way. It's been secured to the bottom of the trench by 2 pins. I've only got bent bits of wire in there at the moment. Normally I use a much bigger nail. I've also got a girdle in place that's loosely fit. There's still room for growth there, but hopefully that'll choke off the growth eventually and stop the nutrition from feeding back to the mother plant once the roots are established on this guy. I've trimmed off all these buds flat so that I don't have any growth between the mother vine and the new layer. I've also left the buds under the ground active because they'll grow roots. I'm going to backfill this trench now and make sure that that's nice and compact and there's no movement under the ground, so that the roots can be established nice and strong without being snapped off by subtle movement. So nice and tight, pack all this soil in nice and tight. Again, I'll put you on hold, and this guy I'll leave the top 4 buds active. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll trim the rest off to the ground so that I lessen the risk of them being burnt off by herbicide. So here we go. These 4 buds are active. Everything else has been trimmed off down to ground level. The ones under the ground are active. The ones back up to the mother vine have all been trimmed off also. And we have straight vine and a straight new layer. Thanks again guys for tuning in. Again, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content, and I'll see you guys on the next video.